Today, I love this topic, and I think pretty controversial on some level. But talk about basically our continuing education, CECs, great investment or somewhat of a scam. I don't know. We're going to talk about it, and we have our awesome co-host Julia and Caroline with us today, and then Jonelle. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it's her first podcast, so we're going to make this
Thank you
amazing.
for having
For
me.
yes, we're gonna whoop it up. So. Let's just go around the table and kind of, Jonelle, yours your first podcast. Let's get you going here. What's been your experience with this topic? And then we'll just kind of round robin it here.
So I've been in fitness for almost 20 years. So I've actually had quite a few certifications and done NASM a couple of times, oddly enough, throughout my that entire journey. So I got it once when I started coaching at Gold's Gym, and then had to get it again when I got to 24 because it was like a year, like a year in between. Then when I got to Orange Theory, so that's been my most recent experience, I had to get another one for working with Orange Theory. So I feel like I've got kind of a whole taken it plenty of times. Probably couldn't take it now without without studying for it, but I feel like I've taken it probably more times than most.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Awesome. So what's your experience been in terms of like recertifying and going through the process and what it's entailed for you, especially with these different places you've been with? Has it been positive, negative? What do you think?
It's probably been a mix of both. I feel like the when I took it, it was the difference from when I was at Gold's to 24, like the information wasn't that different. But I
Yeah.
missed the cutoff date. So then I had to retake the whole test. And at that point, I was just starting another training. So I wasn't making a lot of money. And I think it was like maybe $400 or $500. And that was probably back in like 2011, 2012. And so that was a little frustrating. I always feel like that information's good to like recap, but to take it so close back to back was kind of frustrating. And then to have to, I think between 24 and gold or and between going from 24-hour to Orange Theory, I had to take another one again. And that one wasn't quite as intense. I think I did like a group training one or one that was little less intense, I guess. But just kind of sucked to have to take it like back to back like that when I had taken them already a few times. And I feel like the information didn't change a lot. I don't know about now from 2011 to now, if the information's widely different. It just felt like at that time it was the same stuff and it was just to kind of jump through some hoops. But
Hmm.
I also understand that that's kind of important to have in this field too. So kind of good and bad, I guess.
Caroline, what do you think? How about your experience?
Well, okay. So I did it. I um was certified. I think it was 2022, spring of 2022. And I had no idea what I was doing. So my mom is in the fitness industry, but she's in the yoga industry. So that certification process, which I'm sure we'll like chat about the different modalities, is much different than becoming like a certified personal trainer. And so I went through NASM, and I just was like, whatever I could find, I was like, sure, sure, check, check, check. And I was working a full-time job as an engineer. But I got like every single time I checked the website, and it was like every day or something, there was always like 45% off sale ending in 3 hours. Get it now. And I was like, is this really a sale or is this really what it's worth? And so that kind of like was triggering as a red flag, but I know NASM is like a very well renowned certification to get if you wanted to work in a gym or like other studios. So I did trust like the certification. I was just like, okay, they know that we need this. Um, and then I think I got like a bundle where it was like nutrition, personal, like the normal CPT, and then corrective exercise something. And I think that's like, they always do that. It's like CNC, CPT, and CES or something like that. Um, it was like $3,000 altogether.
Oh,
And
Man.
that was like a big payment for me. I was like year out of college. And again, I did have a full-time job as an engineer, which was paying me like pretty well, but it's still like $3,000 to put down. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I took the exams and I had all of that, and I thought it was a 5 year. I thought you had 5 years to get recertified. It's 2 years, which
mm,
I don't know if that changed like while I had it or whatever. So I did get recertified. Oh, I do want to mention I also got 500 hours of my yoga certification, and in that is like really heavy anatomy. And so I tried submitting that as like hours towards like a recertification, and they didn't accept it, which like really bothered me because I just had done 500 hours of like physical training. And they're like, it was just like a quick no, there was no answer or anything. And so I had to, I think then to get like those mini education ones to then not have to fully recertify, it was like a couple $100s for each one. And I was just like, I can't, because I think at the time I had quit my job and I was back in school and I was like, I can't afford this. So I just kind of pushed it off and I was like, I have 3 more years. And then I found out that I missed the deadline like a couple months ago. I was like, oh, it's not 5 years. And so technically, yeah, I have to now recertify, and I went online just before this, and it's $1,000 to get that again, and I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
And then I found out, I went on my profile, I've been paying $35 a month for this NASM One subscription, and I don't mean to like really like hound NASM because I'm sure they all do this, and I'm starting off on a negative, and I do have another side of this opinion, but this is like so sneaky of them. And I was like, since when did I start paying for something called NASM One? And it allows you, I think the only benefit is it's like 50% off on like certain bundles. And then it says like you can retest as many times as possible. And I was like, oh, so this is only beneficial if you fail. So I emailed them right before this and I was like, get me off this. And I don't know what's going to happen, but it's like a 12-month commitment. And I was like, I don't remember committing to anything. So anyways, I think there's a big part of it that's a money scheme and that they hope you're someone like me that isn't paying attention.
Man,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy. Marilyn, welcome
Hi,
to the
everybody.
podcast. Julia, let's get to what you think. Your experience, how your experience.
Yeah. This conversation's actually very timely because I got my certification last January, or almost 2 Januaries ago. So I'm coming up on the point where I have to recertify or I'm going to lose my certification. So I haven't actually had to go through the continuing education process yet. And I'm like just thinking there's got to be maybe a better way to do this because up front, when you go to the NASM website, they just promote kind of all of their own programs. And I know there's other resources out there, but I think like having a really easy way to find either lower cost or free opportunities is something that needs to be introduced. So I'm like just starting to go on the hunt for that because I don't want to lose certification. Or at least I'm kind of exploring what that would mean. I think I was one of the suckers also that when I went to the website, I must have gone at the wrong day because I think I paid like $500 more than what the bundle I got was worth.
You missed the discount.
I missed the deal. I just missed it. Yeah, so I haven't had to go through it yet, and I'm excited to hear about everyone's kind of perspectives on the recertification that they've done, and maybe learn about some more resources as well.
Yeah, I love the perspective, all these different timelines with people. Like crazy. I've been with the NSCA CPT for over 20 years, and I don't have very mixed feelings about it. Because I mean, the certification initially was great. I had kind of I would say a heads up on it. I was teaching students how to pass the NSCA exam. I was working at a vocational college. So our curriculum was the NSCA curriculum. So when I was doing the exam, I was like, I know this already. So it just was easy, but over these 2 decades plus doing it, I definitely kind of feel like it's just a way to get money for the organization. Sorry, NSCA, if you listen to this, it feels like every one of it's very similar. Like, I will say, like, they have their NSCA based events that you can get basically certification credits towards your recertification. Then they have non NSCA events for that. And I've always just gotten most of my finish my recertification. Like, it's a 3-year window. Always got it about a year in because I would just go to a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
And I would just knock it out because you get a lot of CECs for going to conferences. Problem is, though, especially if you're just starting out in the business, conferences are expensive to go to. It's crazy expensive. So you're spending a tremendous amount of money to get recertified for that. Or you have to basically dink and dunk your ways through little quizzes and things of that nature, purchasing different stuff. Um, the 3 year period is feasible, but I also just think it's like, man, I have other thoughts. I'm going to talk about this coming up,
Yeah.
but I do think like every time I'm just like, what's the investment on the certifications part on this? Like, really, like, it just feels like it's a good sales funnel for them in many ways to add extra revenue to their operating income for it. But yeah, actually, I never hear from them. Actually, I just only go on there to check to see where I'm at. There's really no touch point. There's no personal nature to the recertification. It's like, here's what it costs, pay it, you're good. But it's very like empty, it feels like. So that's been my experience. What about you, Marilyn?
Well, I've been at this a really long time. And I remember in the days when I was first AFA idea, like Reebok step certified, all you had were you could only get your certs and recerts and CECs by going to conventions. So it was really hard. Like you had to pray that for us on the East Coast, that's where I am, that there was something that was going on in either Manhattan or an area of like New York or New Jersey or Connecticut that was within a 3 hour. I mean, I literally drove to Boston one, year away, but the affordability factor, the craziness of it, and then the emptiness, like you said, Darian, there's just, it's so frustrating that, I was having a conversation when I was walking out of work with a girlfriend. She caught me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I took a class. It's brand new instructor, and she didn't even know there was a lever on the bike, and she like didn't like there's and it goes back to what you've been saying from day one. There's no mentoring. You get certified and then you're on your own and you just feel like, you pray to God, you get picked up by a studio or a fitness facility and that somebody gives you a little bit of time and energy and attention, but you're on your own and you have that 2 year window to figure out how do you get another 12 credits, and then your CPR you have to renew.
Oh, yeah.
I'm at the point now where I'm so old and I've done everything that I just went through my 200 hours of yoga, because I'm so tired of taking NASM and AFA certs. And I mean, I even got roped into the nutrition coach with
Yeah.
NASM and AFA. And then after I paid over $1,000, and the test was horrifically, I mean, I might as well have gotten my dietitian degree because it was that difficult. There's a big, like FBI warning, so to speak, where it's like this bold, like, warning, you are not allowed to give nutritional advice or counseling. All you can do is recommend that, I'm like, I just went through all this. And all I can say to people is, I have a nutrition certification, but you still need to go to a registered dietitian because I can't tell you that your calorie intake to your calorie expenditure is off, or you can't recommend it. So there's so many parts of it that are frustrating. I do love the idea of continuing your education. And like both of you girls are young and enthusiastic. And I will say, even within the scope of my life and my certifications, I have Les Mills programming. I have a couple of the different pre-choreographed, but Les Mills is the only one I've kept and stayed because I feel like at least there is a component of actual follow-up and care, because you have 3 months to make a video of yourself after you go through the weekend training, and you get feedback on, Julie, you did great. If you could work on your cueing, we're going to give you an opportunity to resubmit a video so you have somebody, as frustrating and disappointing and emotional as that is, but at least you're getting that feedback versus just not knowing what the hell or taking something. So, and as young instructors trying to build out your craft and your just access to picking up classes, you are going to certify in all different things because you want to be able to get on a schedule and have maybe 2 or 3 classes in a row, whether it's I go from bar to mat Pilates to a strength training or a cycle. So in those regards, it's great to be able to get all those different certifications, continue your education, keep adding to your own, resume of expertise. But where does it go from here? And at some point, it does feel like it becomes a money grab because there's nothing new going on in any of the formatting, or it's like, really, um, cycling is cycling. Like, uh, what do you mean? Now you're telling us we can stand in this position versus the last 20 years we couldn't, or so it just becomes kind of frustrating. I wish there was a way. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I love that they want you to stay active and be accountable, but what is the value? Like, how do you make it worth your while? I'm going through another nightmare with AFA right now because I submitted all my stuff. That's the other thing. If you go to an outside source, you've got to write a letter, email it to their board to get approval because it's not a NASM and AFA. They
Yeah.
do offer they do offer free, but it's like 1 credit, 2 credits. So as Darian was saying, like, you could pull your hair out trying to find all those freebies, and they're going to be about really random and bizarre stuff. Like, I remember
Yeah.
it was like, teaching during COVID, like after COVID, they're like, oh, we have free credits teaching during COVID. I'm like, really? Like, taking just to take credits and get it done, you don't want it to feel like that's what it's about. Like, oh my God, I'm only doing this because I need these 12 credits and I'm
Yeah.
so out of my mind and I'm just taking anything. You just want there to be a quality factor. And I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
I think the point on feedback is really interesting, because without that, like, how do you know that what you're learning is actually making you a better trainer, making you better at what you're doing? If you like are not actually seeing any change in the outcome or getting feedback from somebody that is qualified, how do you know that you just like checked a box, you took some quiz, and some people just test well. Maybe there's like tests that you take and you can check that off and do well, but does that actually translate to being a better trainer? And I think having a system for that obviously requires more overhead. It's like why we have standardized testing. It's an easy way to just like check a box and filter out a lot of people, but it doesn't really like get to the heart of the craft and show
Yeah.
really gaining anything.
With the yoga teacher training, so I did 200 hours and 300 hours, and it was I think harder than the NASM. And NASM like was I thought honestly the information in there for a first time certified personal trainer I thought was amazing, and I really enjoyed the anatomy and understanding how the
Hmm.
body moves, and I really do think it's like great information and really important. And there were some addendums from years past where they were like, actually, based on this is not the best thing to do. I don't know if you guys know plow pose. It's when you
Hmm.
like that one was like a big one for me where
Right.
do
For
not.
years, we didn't do it. Now you're
Yeah.
kind of doing it like a shoulder stance, or you're doing plow again.
Yeah. And so I thought that was really interesting and getting all of that. But with the yoga, you do have to basically you go through the whole hours and you audition in front of the teachers, and they will give you cues, and you're auditioning throughout the course of the 200 and 300 hours. And auditioning meaning like you're teaching classes, either you're teaching the people around you or you're doing like free classes. And I think Pilates is a great example of that as well. You have to go through 100 hours of teacher training, like actual, like you're teaching, before you can technically be a Pilates instructor. So I think that's really important because in person and like actually working with someone is very different than what's just like understanding what a trap is, what a bicep is, and how like on paper what that looks like. So I think that would be really nice if there was somehow an in-person session for like a first time trainer. And maybe that's, and I know like some gyms will obviously like guide you a little and like you can shadow. But
Hmm.
I think there should be a little more oversight with that because I
Yeah.
definitely know people that just do it, test well, and then
Yeah.
they don't really, it doesn't, that what they learn doesn't translate into what they're
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah. Most
Well, and
definitely.
and personal training is different from group fit.
Yeah.
You could be a
Mhm.
great personal trainer, but to try and get in front of a room of anywhere from 12 to, 54, you know, all level, open level participants, and think you can lead them and coach them and have eyes on every, it's a different dynamic and skill set. Um, so it's I mean, very, very few times. And I've been at my one studio, which is a main, it's a pretty established gym in my area. I don't think my boss, maybe once in 20 years, has taken one of my strength training classes. I mean, it's wonderful that she trusts me, and knows my level of just self commitment to excellence. But, you know, you do a 5-minute demo, if anything, or it's word of mouth a lot of times, right? How you get hired. And then you're kind of on your own to figure it out. And if your class is struggling, you're trying to figure out why. And you don't have any feedback or guidance from a manager.
Yeah,
And
most
it's not
definitely.
like you really you didn't have a lot of the hand holding. Or I love the idea of the hours, but I don't know, even in regular group fit, that would be amazing if studios could do that or gyms could do that. But I guess it's a big ask because there's so many options, from small boutique, vertical spaces, to big box corporate gyms. So how do you facilitate getting them all to create um, training, mentoring programs?
Yeah. It's definitely a big lift. Joe, now what about Orange Theory? I'm curious about how it works there. I mean, I know about Orange Theory probably just like a general person does, but what's the certification, recertification aspect like there?
So just like any gym, so you just have to be personal training. Well, when I first started in 2013, you had to have a personal training certification. You had to have your CPT, and now they kind of loosened it up a little bit to where you could have like a group training one, because obviously it's a group of people. And kind of to Marilyn's point, like once you get that certification, you've got 45 different types of bodies, different type of personalities. Like that certification really doesn't do you justice. So hopefully it's on like the studio to then come in and train you and to help you. And Orange Theory is awesome because they super train you on the template, because that's the goal. So that everybody can repeat the same workout, whether you're in Colorado or whether you're in Texas or wherever. But where they miss the mark is those personal touches. Because if I don't know if this person can do a squat, I kind of just let them do their thing versus like this person's going to get hurt. So over the years, they have done a lot more like in studio training, to where they call it your orange eye. So you're supposed to go to people that look like they're going to hurt themselves first, and then you kind of tailor. But if you've never like had a room of 45 people, like that's hard to do because you
Mhm.
just don't know what you don't know. So I liked kind of Marilyn's idea of maybe doing more in-person training, or the certification. I'm sure people would pay $1,000 if it was like a 3-day workshop. It's kind
Mhm.
of what they do more so in Orange Theory. So once you get certified, you do go through a training process, but it's still more on like the template, the intervals, like the programming itself, versus
Right.
like this person has knee issues, what do you
The
do? If this
connection.
person has back issues, what do you do? Like that's kind of the hard part. And I think that's what makes you a really good trainer or really not so good. And not to anybody's fault. You just don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately, I think that's what stops most like really good group coaches from getting to be better, is that they don't want to make those corrections, or they don't want to hurt somebody more. So they end up kind of pulling back, because you can't just read it and then go adjust somebody, because you just don't know what it looks like in real life. So they have gotten better with like their input, like with training and coaching. But I think ultimately, like most of the gyms that I've worked for, it's mainly for like the insurance purpose, not so
Mhm.
much that you can get better and really adjust people, which is fair, which is understandable, because it's still a business at the end of the day. But if ultimately somehow the like NASM or ACE somehow put it on the company to do the training, I think that would be kind of helpful too. I don't know how you would do that, but then that forces like the managers and the head coaches and those people to actually get in there and help them get better versus just like a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I know. Also know that a lot of gyms like don't really stop or not hire someone because their certification lapsed. So
Mhm.
that's like also another thing where I don't ever like I think it is again really important to stay on top of your own like understanding and training. Because I've done continuing education through like yoga, and also I've been taught by like physical therapists and all that stuff. It's just not NASM or ACE or anything like those kind of certifications. But where was I go? Oh yeah. But you yeah, like I don't think I wouldn't want someone to have to go through the whole process again and pay $1,000 when it's like really not necessary. Like top studios, like Equinox, you can have a lapsed certification and they will not say no. If
I
you're a
didn't
good
know
trainer,
that.
you'll have to.
I had no clue about that. Really?
Yeah, that Julie and I learned that early on when we were starting like the Fit for All company. I was like big on like wanting to make sure everyone had at least a certification. Only to find out that mine had just lapsed. And then everyone else that we were like getting their certifications were like, oh, these are all lapsed and they work
Yeah.
at Equinox, they work at like this. And I mean, they're all really good trainers. It's just and now I'm totally one of them. I'm like, I don't want to pay $1,000 for
I
this.
think it's
Well,
pretty
just like
common,
further shows
honestly.
that,
You know,
yeah.
I think it's pretty common.
Yeah.
Hard too, because like as a trainer, if you have to take time off, you lose your
Yes.
income. So you also not only
Right.
do you pay $1,000, you don't make the $200 or $300 of what it is too. So that's probably why, at least like at Orange Theory, like people let it lapse. 'Cause they're like, well, I can't take off. Unfortunately, it's kind of the
Yeah.
nature of the business too. The less you train people, the less money you make. So it is kind of like not a trap, but there's just no good way to like get recertified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not guaranteed hours or a class just because I finished my 200 hours in April, and it was, as you know, Caroline, and maybe everyone else, it was thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's very
Thousands. I mean, I'm still paying it off my credit card because and I'm subbing a class tonight. I'm subbing tonight, but I didn't, and I work for like 3 really tremendous gyms and and I don't have a set class yet because what's open? You
yeah.
know, there's
Mhm.
there's no time, and then they're going to start. Nobody's going to just create a window for me um, at a premium but so you have that frustration of, well, I'm bar certified, but I don't have a specific bar class. I'm
Yeah.
this certified, but so it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I think that's where the online starts to grow because of that issue.
Right.
A lot of people are getting certified. There's only so many hours in the day. But along with that, something I did see pop up on NASM was like like getting certified to become like an influencer, like a fitness influencer.
What?
And I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
Hold
they've
on.
had
we
that
Hold
for a
lost
on.
long
the
Wait a
time.
minute.
plot. We
Let's take
lost
this
the
back a
plot.
second.
Pay for that?
Yeah, let me make sure I'm not making this up because I remember
I'm
seeing
not
it
even
and it was like a person
surprised.
like holding their
Yeah, I don't think you
camera.
are.
Funny.
I feel like I've seen that in the past. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
years ago they tried to do like local be a Biggest Loser coach when that show was on TV.
Yeah.
They wanted to connect you, and I remember like submitting a resume for it, and they're like, "Hold on, we're trying to find Jersey people that tried to interview or audition for the Biggest Loser show, and we're going to see who's in your area." And then it just fell apart.
Stay.
Oh my goodness.
Hold
But I
on. Is
think you're
this
right. I
real?
think they're
Yeah,
yeah,
social media fitness influencer.
yeah.
Maximize your reach and your impact by growing your social media.
Oh
It's
my
unbelievable. It's
God.
$21 a month. Um,
How
but
many
it's
credits?
you have to put down $49. You have to put down $49 plus the 12 payments. So it's
What?
like close to
Do you get
another.
CEC credits for it? Maybe we all need to do it.
It's it
We'll
says
become
yeah.
influencers.
I don't even know if it counts towards your credits. I don't know. But
Darian's
yeah, I
credit
saw that
is
pop
I'm
up and
frozen.
I
losing
was
it.
like,
I can't take this. I honestly can't handle this.
this is
This is
dumb.
like too much for me. Like this is you shouldn't have told me
Oh
this.
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, I know. I like part of me was like, I almost don't even want to bring this up. But when I saw that, I was like, we're done. We're
It's
cooked.
so embarrassing.
This is it.
Honestly. It's
Yeah.
just so embarrassing. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making money where they know it can be made. So
Right.
Yeah.
it's just
That's
further proof it's really
yeah.
business.
Yeah. That's another thing. Like that is I'm gonna bring it back to Pilates again. And also with yoga teacher training. I think there are some like downfalls with it in terms of specifically for yoga teacher training. There's no governing body that like says, oh, this is good, this is bad. They're trying to grow that because there are some people that should not be creating teacher training programs that make a lot of money off of it that have honestly not gone through it themselves. So that's like not great. But
I
they're
thought you had to go through Yoga Alliance
it's
to
not required.
really.
So
So
but
too.
everyone that I tell, I'm like, make sure that whomever you're doing it with has gone through Yoga
Yeah.
Alliance. And that has become like more of a norm within the past 5 years, but it's not a requirement. But I do like though that it's like again more in-person stuff and more like hands-on. If it's a good program for Pilates, I know people like audition to even get
Mm-hmm.
or like what's the word? Not audition, interview to even become potentially an to like go through the instructor certification process. So not that I want to make it like elite or harder to do. It's just a social media fitness influencer. If that's like the governing body that is like doing like NASM has this, then I think it's a money grab at that point, and
This
it's
seems
like
unbelievable.
less trustworthy. Yeah.
Wow. So wait. Let me back up here because my mind is too. This is too much for me. It's actually too much for me. I have to like reel this back in for me. So Equinox, you were saying they were just okay with letting trainers certifications lapse, basically.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it might
Right.
be based on like specific
Specific
gym like studios. The ones
trainers.
that we saw like different locations. I don't know if
Yeah.
they manage it differently, but every single person that had gotten one, was like a couple years expired.
Yeah. And we don't know if that was during the hiring process or if they had an active cert when they joined and then they just didn't
That's
follow up. I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They for sure, yeah, they definitely, because I know Equinox will cover the cost of the like whatever certification you go through if you like work for them. So a lot of people will then work at Equinox, get their certification, but I haven't seen any like, oh, you have to re-up it, it's expiring type of
Yeah.
situation.
This is I ran a
Because
club for 10 years and it was in 33 countries, so there was a lot of diversity with different clubs. Some of them are private clubs, HOAs, recreation
Yeah.
facilities, hotels, spas, and I know for sure that there were places that just the directors didn't check to see if the trainers or if they actually recertified. There was like always a problem, but it always just made me feel like, do we even take this seriously? Is it like we're
right,
just
I
letting stuff
agree.
lapse
Well,
and letting people work? Like, do we even care
yeah.
actually about this?
Even with independent training, like I've never had a client ask me, "Can I see your certs?" Like they don't know what that
They
means.
don't know. They
Yeah.
don't.
They trust that if you say you're a trainer and you like give them a good session and you are helping them reach their goals, they're like they don't even think about it. So like I think it's
uh,
yeah, this further proves the point that
Yeah.
it's a corporation at this point and like there's value I think to an extent. But it's yeah, it's
It's
kind
I
of
mean,
wild.
I think they're trusting the honor roll system, and my gyms ask, we get like a reminder 6 months before that our certifications are coming to an expiration. Um, at one of my main gyms, the other one is has a lot of their own branded programming. It's a lifetime facility,
Yeah.
so interestingly enough, part of the conversation I was having earlier with another GFI was the young gal that's now teaching cycle, and it's great. She was promoted from within, like she came out of the childcare room, but she only did the in-house training of one of their branded cyclings. So she doesn't have a Johnny G or a cycle certification from an actual just authentic cycling module and program. She's just doing the one version of Lifetime's, like AMP ride, or what would be like a soul cycle ride.
Right.
So, that I think that was part of the reason why she didn't even know the mechanics of the bike. That it had a lever and it has an odometer and how to set the seat and clip in the shoes. And do y- is do you blame her or do you blame the management who's just pushing a kid through, who's enthusiastic, wants to teach, but is putting everybody at risk, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so
Interesting.
when you build in like, oh, I can just go, I don't have to get certified in a professional way. I could just get picked up there and, do their online school, their course trainings. And, you can't, she's not taking that anywhere outside of Lifetime and think she's getting hired. And if she does, shame on that, you know, gym owner or studio owner even more.
Well, I think that's, to Marilyn's point, kind of the hard part, right? Because we tell people they have to have the certification, and then it kind of falls on the company to either train them or to support them or to help them. So even if that certification lapse, like there's still no support to help them get better. So it's almost like it should be like that paper, I'm sure, is required for insurance purposes, as far as I understand, with Orange Theory, because when Orange Theory was like smaller, they didn't really care about it. Like it was more just, did you follow the template? Did you follow the program? And the good coaches, the one that clearly had a background, you could obviously tell. So those ones got better and better, where people would just like constantly drop off. And that's not cool either, because I feel like that kind of takes the fitness industry back a little bit with all these just kind of like random people and random instructors. It doesn't like help the credibility, but at the same time, like there's got to be somebody after that certification to help you get better and to help you know how to do this in real life. Otherwise, it just kind of falls flat. But
I mean, it really needs to be the GFM or the Group X director. And I know even like my one Group X manager, she's not even certified. She's really like an admin gal. She knows how to use the computer and make a pretty poster to promote, Julie's Pilates class, pop up class. But uh, she's not certified to give feedback or show somebody. And I mean, I've been in a position at my one club where new girls have come in, and I was so thankful that my boss was like, she just got certified, will you, and she graciously was like, I'll give you like half rate, or I'll pay you for 30 minutes if you can mentor her for like, but we got like 2 full hours or 4 half-hour sessions in, and then they're like, yeah, okay, she's good, because they don't want to pay. She didn't want to pay me anymore. So I spent like the better part of less than a full 7-day work week trying to help one or two younger instructors. I mean, there's still girls teaching in a mirror. They're not even their butts are in your face versus them facing you and having like understanding what your instructor right is, and leading a class, looking at the audience, or setting everybody up and being able to be comfortable and confident enough in their own ability, but also to go up and say, hey, is it okay if I touch you? I just want to, yeah, help you out. You're doing great, but just here's my hand. Push back. Don't push. See how you're pushing into your knees pushing into my hand. Shift your hips back, and yeah, great. Now you got it. Terrific. You don't even have people understanding and doing the basics like that. I mean, I'm horrified sometimes when I actually take a class and you see the bad form on a clean press or a squat or a lunge and or a plank. I mean, half of them are doing weird versions of a down dog, you know, and a neck strain. So, how do you get group fit managers and directors to take the anybody, shadow, go in, like somebody was saying, it like shadow the classes, go in, it doesn't have to be 100 hours, but maybe it needs to be 30 hours within a 28 or 1 month cycle. Get to 30 hours of classes, or get to the manager's classes, or make sure the manager gets in. The manager needs to get in and be taking the classes and giving constructive feedback. That's how
Yeah,
you learn.
this doesn't sound promising. I'm just gonna be honest here. It's like, this doesn't sound
I
great.
will say, yeah, I honestly think, and p- I I think it really comes down to the studio and the gym,
Hmm.
um, for them to take responsibility over whomever they're hiring. And I do think, based on like when I interviewed at spaces and when I worked at spaces, obviously it looks bad on the studio if they have a bad trainer. So there is a level of, for the most part that I've seen, of studios kind of taking a bit more responsibility over their trainers when they first come on. And a good example is Equinox. Like you have to work the floor for 8 hours or something, hit a certain amount of hours before you can like start being like a personal trainer out like on your own time. And so I think a lot of studios do have that, but I do wish that that was part of kind of the governing body of becoming a personal trainer. And I think it sounds like we're all kind of in agreement with that learning online is very different than trying to actually
Hmm.
teach someone in person. And again, everyone's body is different, so you really have to see it to understand it. And yeah, that's just not part of the program.
No, no, it's definitely not. And I feel like as many people I've talked to over the years, I feel like the recertification process and the whole deal is they're just trying to get through it. They're not excited
Yeah.
about it. It's not
Right.
like, in
Right.
your mind, you're like, oh, I want to learn, continue to get better. That's like the hope for the industry and for individual people. But everyone I talk to feels like it's just like something that's in the way for them. It's like, oh, I got to do
It's an
this.
obligation. It's a
Recertify.
burden. It's a burden and an
Yeah,
obligation, and it takes the fun out of it.
that's
Takes
exactly
the
right. It's like,
passion
oh,
out of it because
got to get these
you're
CECs.
worried. You're just right. You're just worried about the CECs and and that's why you do scramble online because when you're probably working a full time job, you're teaching classes as a passion side gig. You maybe have a dog or a family or a significant other or somebody like there's so many other distractions and obligations in your life that you do start saying like, "Oh my god, what can I do online that I can just get in, get done, race through it, submit the forms, you know, keep my fingers crossed it all gets approved and I submitted it all right and just know I'm good for another 2 years." It kind of, I mean, that's at this point in my life, there have been many an honest moment where that's all it was for me is just grueling through it to make sure because you don't ever want to have to go back to your primary cert. That's just god awful. And another, couple $100 to be like, really? You kick yourself if you let it expire. But then I think, Caroline, you were saying it because I have the NASM AFA like buy for life, pay 500 now and, be automatically. And I'm like, wait a minute. What did I pay $500 for if it's not automatically renewing me? And you're telling me that I still need, so yeah, I'm like, what did I just, oh, I don't have to submit the $25 every time. I just paid 1,000 for 12 credits. So, yeah, it makes you wonder what the hell your money's going to.
Yeah.
It's funny because I have to, and I'm like, it's like the PTS syndrome of I have an email from them, and I have to go back and find it because I submitted all my yoga credits, and I'm like, oh my god, I just read the headline. Hi, we saw you did something, and I'm like, oh no, what did I do now? And it's like on my list to go back and do and get on the phone and wait for 2.5 hours calling California to get connected to a live person, to try and talk my way out of what do you mean I didn't do it right?
Mhm.
Um, or what am I missing? Or how much more money do I need to pay to get it approved?
Yeah. So true.
Wow.
But,
I'll tell you what.
listen, we love it. We love what we do, and for the most part, I would imagine we all have a great impact on I was corporate interviewing for a job a week or two ago, and the woman was like, You you teach exercise?" And I'm like, "I save at least 10 lives a day." Like we are so our words, our movement, even a song on your playlist. I'm sure we all have that experience of somebody thanking you at the end of the class or the training session for really just, you know, saving their life in that moment. And that in itself is so gratifying. Um, you know, it's our passion. So we're all going to keep plugging along and hoping it gets better. And if it doesn't, we're still going to plug along and keep our certifications active and know that we truly make a difference in the lives of our members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. I learned something Caroline, I really wish you didn't bring that up. You blew my mind today. You know that?
Yeah.
You blew my mind. And it was not a good way. It's not a
Yeah.
good way.
I know. I just and it's funny. And I really, from our first podcast together, unfortunately, I get hooked sometimes into the schemes. Um, considering, yeah,
We know.
I remember that
Story for
came
another
out. I was
time.
like, do I do this? Because I got like an email about it or something, and I was like, oh, an influencer package. Yeah, thankfully though,
Extra revenue.
So do you buy that and then put influencer like IST and
Certified
influencer
influencer.
certified
I think it
certified
was
influencer?
I think it was like ISM or something like that,
Oh
like
my
influencer
gosh.
social media. It was something like
Oh, you
that.
didn't.
Tell us
So
what it
yeah, if you
is.
see
Like,
anyone with like NASM, ISM, it's yeah, and it's I
ISM.
think it turns out being probably like $500.
Yeah.
It's
oh,
crazy.
Jesus.
Money grab.
Yeah.
If
I
it's
can't
12
take
credits,
this.
I might have to do it.
I don't know if it associates to credits, but yeah, if it's 12 credits, I'm sure it's like 0.01.
Oh God.
0.01.
Yeah.
Oh
0.01.
man. Wow. What a conversation. This is better than I even thought. I love these topics. These are amazing topics for us to discuss. And gosh, a lot of our colleagues need to listen to this one, especially. There's a lot. If nothing else, just to hear the craziness that's coming out. ISM all day. All day.
Yeah.
ISM.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate your time, your effort. And Julie and Caroline, thanks for always being here for this Trainer Talk series that we have.
Yeah.
Appreciate everyone's time. Have an awesome rest of your day. And look forward to getting this one out for sure.